Hi guys, welcome once again to the Squashcast. I'm your host Rob Bowman, and today we have a special episode for you. Jesse this last week spoke to one of the best coaches in the game, Paul Carter. The two of them sat down over a coffee to discuss some of the key topics facing players in the sport today. Over to Jesse.
I'm joined today on the Squashcast by none other than Paul Carter, current high-performance coach with England Squash. He's one of the most revered coaches in the country, so I'm really honoured to kind of have him here today giving his opinion on a few things. He's coached at 2 Commonwealth Games events. He's also coached at 4 World Team events, all were victorious. He's also been the 1988 national champion, was world ranked 17, and he's got 24 caps for England. Affectionately known as Carts. So, Carts, what is your current role within England Squash?
Hi Jesse, thanks for that. My current job title with England Squash is Head of Coach Development. Pretty much looking at all the coaching courses from level 1 through to the high performance rule, which we both completed last November and had a fabulous day on our pass-out ceremony.
Yeah, no, that was a good day in Gloucester, and we got in all our glad rags with all our university robes. It almost looked like squash players were clever for a certain moment. Just talk about your role a little bit more in the sense level 1 and 2 coaching courses, because I get asked quite a bit by a few people around, when's the next level 2, when's the next level 1. I believe it's evolved a little bit. Can you just give us a bit of context on that?
Yeah, both Gal, Pink and myself have looked at both the content of level 1 and 2, and I think, my strapline, we want more people hitting more balls more of the time. And I think we've kind of addressed that with our level 1. It's been piloted as a one-day course, yet to be signed off, but we've had a lot of success getting coaches through a course without being too prescriptive. So it's getting people on court hitting squash balls. And I think if we've been at 4, I think we've been a little bit too heavy in our prescription of how things should be done. So hopefully with the level 1, it's due to be looked at by Robbo in the next couple of weeks to get his eye over it. So hopefully we'll have a new level 1 course ready to start in September.
Yeah, no, that's great. I, for one, am involved or was involved with the old level 1 and 2, and some of the feedback from the players or the people who passed was it was quite prescriptive, where it sounds like you kind of make it more bespoke in the sense that when they qualify, or when a level 1 or 2 qualifies, they've got a kind of a coaching identity, and us as tutors can feel really confident that they can be rolled out into the bigger world.
Absolutely, Jesse. I think, as I say, we don't... if we look at the current top 10, both male and female, every one of the players is different. And, who are we to say that you have to hit a ball in this fashion or that fashion, or have to move the ball in this fashion or that fashion? So, we want to give the coaches the confidence that they're actually got enough information for them to be able to deliver their own artistic impression.
Perfect. No, watch the space. I think it'll be quite good to see in the next year, couple of years, how it evolves and some of the coaches and players it starts to produce. Leading on from that a little bit, looking at the current juniors around the world, and in particular focusing on the British Junior Open, what in your opinion, or how in your opinion, are the English players going to combat the current Egyptian dominance at the junior level?
That's the $1 million question. I get asked that every time I deliver a workshop across the country. What are we doing about the Egyptians? I think to a certain extent, I went to the British Junior Open a couple of years ago, and I was watching our top juniors play, and we've had some success with last year, particularly with
Sam Todd.
Sam Todd. He had a really successful British Open, and we have with other players in the past. I think what I observed was what I would call a technical model. And if you were to mark our junior players out of 10, they'd be way up there, 9s and 10s technically, but they weren't actually linking the technique to the tactics, and I felt they were falling short. So going back to what we were talking about earlier about the coaching qualifications, I think it's very much about getting people to play the sport rather than be told and taught how to play. You hear it so often, don't you, with the juniors, they played one of the old farts at the club and they've lost through love, and that's not playing squash.
Right.
Well, it is. It's just a different way, and I think the more exposure that the youngsters get to playing different types of squash, the better equipped they will become of dealing with the emerging nations.
No, I think us as coaches do talk about that a lot. We bat around ideas, and I agree in the sense that English kids are technically really sound, and it almost seems like the Egyptians come over with, the numbers that are playing there is vaster than here. Correct me if I'm wrong there, and you're getting the cream of the crop that comes over. So almost in a way, if we could get the base of the pyramid a little bit bigger in England, that might help a bit. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Was that a pun there, the base of the pyramid?
Good pun. No, it wasn't actually, but you were quite sharp picking up on that pun. It'll be interesting to see where it goes, because again, the England players from the juniors seem to convert quite well into the seniors, where actually the vast Egyptians of the juniors might not transfer as many over to the senior game. Is that what you've seen in the last 5-10 years or so?
Yeah, I think you're probably right there, Jess. I think what we've done, we built a game without the creativity, and I think what I see is the Egyptian players have that creativity. They have that. Right. They don't have that fear factor. Mm-hmm. They go for it. And I think that's where the game has changed over the last probably 10 years or so. This half chance, and they're going for it. Where I think traditionally, historically, we wait for the clear opening,
right,
and wait for that opening and build for that opening.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, I mean, obviously James Willshot, when he was on form just before Christmas, when he beat Mohammed, I mean, that was a very clinical game of squash, and James's line and length and precision hitting was second to none. So, yeah,
good stuff. Leading on from that a little bit, you've worked with some of the best players in the world, including Peter Barker, Alison Waters. I say have been, you still are working with some of the best players in the world. It's a question we posed in the Squash Cast last week. So in your opinion, you look at the top 10 or even outside of that, what's one of the main determining factors in regard to skill or physicality? If you look at the players now, what do you think is one of the most relevant things between those two? I know there's probably other layers and levels of it, but talk about skill and that relationship to the physicality of the game at the moment.
Yeah, I think you got me on a hot topic there, Jess. I think it's you know my background, and you know what my beliefs are on being fit. You have to be fit to play the sport. It's irrelevant whether you're playing it 30 years ago or whether you're playing it in the modern game today. You've still got to be amazingly fit and strong. Like I said previously, I think it's just half chances. So I think the game has sped up a little bit. And on the workshops I deliver, we talk about the old wooden racket, right. The Grays light blue. I mean that weighed 230 grams. Wow. Now the guys are flying around with rackets at 110, 120. So the game has sped up, and it is quicker. Skill or physicality, it's a fine line, isn't it? I don't know. I admire people like Laura and Nick, who have come from more of a traditional game and still competing and beating some of the best in the world now. And they've adapted both their skill and their physicality to combat the game, particularly in the ladies' game, where obviously they've gone down to the 17-inch tin, and Laura's fitted and just won Dubai the other week. So yeah,
good stuff. And probably finally, linked into what we just discussed there, how the game's changed in the last 10-15 years, there's no bones about it. The speed of the game is phenomenally quicker. I think I said last week there's 30% shots being played more in the games now. They did that study, from 10 years ago. So if you look at the game now, what we call the modern game, fast forward 10 years in the future, where do you think it might change, or would it change? Would it maintain? I gave my opinion last week that I thought the skill side would actually catch up a little bit more with the physical side. I believe the physical benchmark is right up there, and I don't think it's going to get much stronger in the next 10 years, potentially. I actually think the skill level and maybe the control and accuracy might catch up with that. That's my humble opinion. How do you think the game will be in 10 years' time?
Again, that's the $1,000,000 question. I think we knew that we'd all be millionaires, wouldn't we? If I was a betting man, I wouldn't mind betting that the tin might even lower again.
Okay.
It's obviously created a lot of excitement, and perhaps even the scoring might get looked at again. I don't know. Okay. So yeah, watch this space, I suppose. When the tin first dropped to 17 inches, I remember they saying, the players are going to find it really hard to change the style. It happened very quickly, and somebody like Janjir just exposed people again. So I don't know the answer. I wish I did.
I've got to get Carts off that fence a little bit more in future. So, but no, listen. Thanks very much for Carts spending some time with me. I hope you enjoyed his opinions and views on the Squashcast, and watch the space for more guest interviews.
Thanks to Jesse and Paul for their insights, and we hope to get more interviews like that with top coaches and players in the future. Don't forget you can follow the Squashcast on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Each episode can be downloaded from iTunes or SoundCloud. All you need to do is search for the Squashcast and hit subscribe. So till next time, thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed it.